The satellite loop still churning, but very disorganized. The winds are still kept at 50 miles an hour, bringing rainfall to Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. There's a look at the storm. Doesn't look like much, does it? And when in fact you look at where the center of circulation is, in this area here on the western side, this is even more disorganized than it was yesterday. Very exposed center. Typically we see a well-developed hurricane or tropical storm with winds like this. This one certainly does not have that. The latest coordinates from the Hurricane Center just came in the last couple of minutes. Winds at 50 still, so the winds stay the same, moving west at 14. We expected a turn toward the west-northwest by now. It hasn't happened in the last 24 hours. What does that do for us? It brings us closer to Florida on Saturday, Friday night and Saturday. It is a little under 1,000 miles from South Florida, and obviously heavy rainfall now through Haiti and the Dominican Republic. There's still a key time here, and it would be tomorrow morning around sunrise or shortly after it moves over some mountainous areas of Haiti and over eastern Cuba. We do expect to see some weakening, but you can see it gets a little bit of a break because it goes through the windward passage, the area of water between Haiti and eastern Cuba. It stays over that water rather than going over land. So that'll actually help with the strength a little. And as it moves closer to Florida, we'll have a storm that is a little over 100 miles off our coastline. If it stays in the same structure it is now, most of the heavy weather's on this side, over the Bahamas. Not much going on this side, but we can't count on that. As it moves over these very warm waters, it could redevelop on the western side of this and bring us some showers and some storms and some gusty winds. At this point, the max winds are about 60 miles an hour. Closest approach would be 2 p.m. on Saturday. Saturday right now appears to be the messiest day across South Florida, and then it moves up, recurves off toward the Carolinas as a Category 1 hurricane. You can see all of our area, most of South Florida, in the error cone. So any shift toward the west would bring it closer to us, and we get into some more stronger storms and heavier rainfall and gustier winds. So that's something that we're keeping an eye on the next 24. Now, these watches and warnings have just been updated, and they haven't updated on the system yet. But now the central Bahamas is under a tropical storm warning, as is the southern Bahamas and southeastern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Dominican Republic tropical storm warning, eastern Cuba tropical storm warning. And the change that isn't reflected here is there's a tropical storm watch now for the northwestern Bahamas. Now, that's pretty close to South Florida, and I do expect later tonight or early tomorrow morning we'll see watches and warnings issued for South Florida as it gets closer to our area. Something to keep in mind. Eventually we are going to see watches and warnings issued, more than likely in this area. Heavy rainfall coming out of the Puerto Rico radar, now starting to move into the Dominican Republic. The mountainous areas, which we were really counting on, they'll have some impact, but it doesn't look like they'll have a huge impact, as the 8,000 and 9,000 foot peaks are actually through the Dominican Republic and eastern Haiti, not over the windward passage. Computer models with this one, still a good consensus moving it off the coastline, and with more on the spaghetti plots and the possible tracks the next few days, here's the Storm Team's James Wieland.
Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. And really, we're looking at these models, and you see it kind of splits the uprates here. We're looking at 3 different possible scenarios from this system. The first one is to go the national hurricane route and go just to the east into the Bahamas and then out to sea. The second one is for it to weaken even further or even dissipate, and that in turn is going to push it into the Gulf of Mexico, at least what's left over it into the Gulf of Mexico, and it will be out of our hair. Now, the third one, which you can't really see on this map, but the third one would bring it kind of somewhere in the middle. And that means maybe a little bit stronger tropical storm, but not quite a really strong tropical storm or a hurricane. And that could come up through Cuba and up through South Florida. And Steve, what was your thinking on which one is more possible for us?
Well, I think something just to the east of the official forecast track is most likely at this point, paralleling the Florida coastline on Friday and Saturday. That would make it a storm much like Ernesto back 3 or 4 years ago. I believe it was 2008. It wasn't too bad here. We picked up some heavy rainfall, several inches of rain, and our wind gusts were really only about 20 to 30 miles an hour. So that's kind of my thinking right now. But once we start to see the watches and warnings issued, people are going to get very concerned about this. At this point, there's absolutely no need to put up shutters, but this is a great time to get your hurricane supplies together if you already haven't, and pick up your hurricane survival guide at Publix.
A good little test run.
Yes, it is.